Your name is Jake Harley, formerly Jake Crocker. The year is 1928. The place? Giza, Egypt. You are in no particular order a self-made runaway, 18 years old, and a budding adventurer. You say budding because you are presently on an adventure right this minute. Well, not really an adventure per se, it's more of a boring old excavation. But boy howdy, are you calling this an adventure in your journal? When are you first? Well, second, if you'd call escaping from your dastardly mother an adventure, but who's counting? After escaping your mother's clawed grasp with your best dog Hallie at your side, you joined aboard the Langford expedition to Giza, Egypt. Because really, there was no chance your mother's claws would find you out here. Plus, it helped matters that you'd implied to your dear sister Jane that you'd instead be seeking your fortunes in Asia instead. They would certainly look there first. Right now, you're presently working as some random laborer in a dig site. Anything to get some money and work under your new name, really. One day you'll be a famous adventurer and will be doing all kinds of important things. Like figuring out what the hell your mother actually came from. You see, she's an alien. Some kind of sea-dwelling creature from outer space who's disguised herself as a human baked goods baroness. That was another reason you decided on Egypt first. Crocker Corp has some interesting ties to the region when you were a tyke, and while they'd since dried up, the Langford expedition has decided to take up the reins and continue sifting through the sands. Rumor was, thousands of years ago, there had been a rebellion of some kind that had led, for a few years thereafter, to the halting of the worship of the sun god Ra. That was what the current expedition hoped to find. Soon, though, a large set of cover stones were uncovered. The financier of this dig was called in once the outer edges are moved, revealing something metallic underneath. Something large, something round, something with a chevron-shaped glass structure. After the cover stones had been completely removed, and you're working with the team to haul up the object beneath, you pause to look over at the site managers. There is the man of the hour, Langford himself, and his daughter, Catherine, you believe her name is. Though you might be wrong on the exact spelling. Catherine, maybe? Catherine? Katrin? No, that's not it. She's a few years younger than you, but you can just see the budding adventurer's soul in her eyes. The same one you saw reflected in your own mirror for years before you finally made your escape. She's toying around with a shiny necklace she likely found in the dig. You've seen about a dozen of the things yourself, all covered in the Eye of Ra and whatnot. It's a trinket for sure, but no prize. No, the real prize is the object at the center of the site, an object you've been helping to fasten ropes to. And then you and about a dozen other people are pulling to get the massive ring-shaped object standing on what's assumed to be the bottom, using the center stone as a guide for up and down. The massive ring is finally pulled upright, and then you can't help but stare. Gadzooks, you whisper. What a marvelous device, even. Why, who knew the ancient Egyptians had such exquisite and fine metal crafting skills? This thing almost looks manufactured. And how incredible is that? You can almost see it now, a whole assembly line putting a device like this together. But what does it do? Why did the ancient Egyptians bury it? And that's when there's a lot of murmuring and excited yelling. Langford himself comes rushing over to see what's uncovered beneath the giant ring itself. You and your fellow workers have gotten the ring secured for the moment, so you all run over and peer at what was discovered. Holy Toledo! You're certainly cooking with petrol now. Those are petrified men in bird armor, just like the depictions of the rebellion against Ra. They're flattened? Squished? The ground beneath them and around them seems disturbed by something that wasn't that way originally. In fact, they almost look like they're fused with the ground. How the hell did that happen? Later that day, you're working on cleaning the dust off the giant ring, now lying back flat on itself inside the frame of a soon-to-be-built shipping crate, when that lovely lass Catherine comes up to your sight, looking around for anybody to talk to.
Excuse me.
She chooses you of all people to talk to.
What do you think this is?
You look at the girl, and you see that spark again in her eyes. Curiosity, the daring drive. If only she were a few years older, you might consider courting her, and her family just for that alone. But you won't begrudge a fellow adventurer their curiosity, and so you honestly answer. I think it's alien.
Alien?
She asks, surprised.
What makes you say that?
Come, feel this. You beckon to the inner track of the ring. A free spinning ring inside the rest of it. Try turning it left or right. With her hand on the metal, you help push it to the side to side. The other workers shoot you an annoyed glance, but quickly seeing the daughter of the man paying them, realize they should keep their mouths shut.
That's incredibly smooth.
Catherine gasps.
It's like it's almost been oiled recently.
We've done no such oiling, you say, smiling as you point to one of the chevrons. Try tapping that. She does so, with gusto. The chevron makes a weird sort of sound between glass and gemstone. Catherine gasps.
My word, what is this?
You shrug. It's unlike any mineral I've ever seen in all my life. And the metal. You now point to one of the engravings. Feel the edges of it. She does so, gasping again.
It's smooth. How is it so smooth?
That's the real question, isn't it, Miss Langford? You smile. And that is why I say it's alien. For how old this must be, we've seen no other objects quite like it.
Incredible.
Catherine begins walking around the perimeter of the ring, touching it here and there where it's been cleaned, and then spinning around so fast her skirt twirls through the air. She faces you and asks,
What's your name?
Jake Harley, ma'am, you say with a smile.
Well, Jake Harley, if I ever figure out what this thing does, you'll be one of the first people to know.
She grins, and gosh, you could only hope so. Later, you'd find her name was actually spelled Catherine. Your name is Jake Harley. The year is 1945, and the location classified. In no particular order, you are 35 years old, a budding inventor, and a known adventurer, and a secret confidant to the experiments revolving around the device currently called the Stairway to Heaven. If Harley's math is right, Langford says, observing the room, this will be our first successful experiment with the device. There's a system to this device, you're sure of it. You're so close to figuring it out. Catherine Langford's fiancé, Ernest Littlefield, is standing next to you at the ready. Langford himself stands nearby, looking tall and imposing. Activate the stairway. The man orders, and so you begin powering the ring. The team begins spinning the inner ring around the stairway, coming around the first signal, lining it up on the top chevron. Chunk thump! The first chevron immediately to the stairway's left, your right when facing it, lights up as the top one moves. As observed many times before, the ring suddenly resists turning the way it had been, and so the team rotates it the opposite way, getting to the next signal. Chunk thump! The energy in the room feels like it's building, just not literally, as the stairway itself seems to be a very powerful superconductor. but metaphorically as well. The team is excited. They're so gosh damned excited. Chuck thump. Third is locked. Chuck thump. And then the fourth lights up the opposite of the third, skipping the bottom two chevrons entirely. What could those be for, you wonder? Alas, a mystery to solve later. Chuck thump. And then there goes 5. Further than any test done before. The generators failed the last few times you tried this. The room begins to shake. The stairways begin to whine. Chunk! There's a pause as the stairway tries to process. Then, thump! 6 is locked. Now comes the moment of truth. What happens when you put a 7th symbol in? You'd pick this one particular glyph at random. It looked good, honestly. The pyramid of the sun, it seemed hopeful. The pyramid with the circle on the top came into position in the 7th chevron, and then... chunk thwa chunk! There's a pulse of electricity racing through the air, and then... the ring's loud cry of wah, wah is your only warning before kwoosh happens. A massive wall of water shoots out of thin air, expanding outwards like a bubble before collapsing back down to stability. And there it is. The stairway stands active before you all. A miraculous puddle of water staring back at you in protest of gravity itself.
Holy Hannah.
Someone whispers. It worked. Langford makes a decision to send someone through. You go to volunteer, but then the man makes the oddest choice. Littlefield, you're up. The doctor suits up and then travels towards the portal standing before them. Then, at Langford's orders, he steps through the portal of water. Then, predictably, that's where everything goes wrong and the generators explode. The power is cut to the device and the portal of water evaporates before your very eyes, leaving only a severed breathing cable behind. Langford lies to Catherine, says Ernest died in the generator explosion. You tell her the truth. She deserves better than that. Langford, of course, doesn't take too kindly to that kind of betrayal. You're kicked from the research team, and any hopes of possibly getting Ernest back in one piece is scrapped when you hear that he's selling the damn thing to the military. Catherine once more promises to keep you in the loop, though. One day she'll get control of the stairway again and be able to continue the research on it. If Ernest is still alive in any way, you'll get him back. Your name is Jake Harley, and the year is 1969. You are, in no particular order, 59 years young, a millionaire inventor, inherited CEO of Crocker Corp., and a world-famous adventurer. But none of that matters beyond the fact that you're only Cloud 9 after a successful proposal to the wonderfully radiant Miss Claire. You're so happy. In fact, you nearly miss answering the important phone that only 3 people in your close circle of friends know about. One of them happens to be calling right that minute.
You'll never believe what just happened.
Catherine Langford begins with a humid tone in her voice. Oh? What will I never believe?
A nice young German man came to visit a while ago, asking about the stairway. I thought it curious, but not noteworthy. I've had visitors asking about it before, after all, but he asked where it was being kept. I didn't realize how important that was until just this morning when I got a call telling me that the Washington, D.C. Armory, where the stairway is being kept, was raided by a group of spies who were last seen escaping custody from a base in Colorado, after having somehow magically appeared out of thin air inside the facility itself not too long ago.
How curious, you say? Did they take the stairway?
No, Jake,
Catherine says.
They used it.
They Did what now? Now you're paying full attention.
Rigged several cars up to the stairway, ran the engines to full power, and then activated it.
Catherine sounds breathless.
The military reported seeing the spies escaping through the damn ring before it shut off, just as you say Ernest did.
It's not a death trap. You breathe out. Theory is vindicated. It's not a death trap. People knew how to use it. Sound it out even, you say.
Yes, Catherine chuckled, entertained. Also, never guess what else just happened.
What? You ask.
There's talk of them having me run a new program into figuring out how the damn thing works. Catherine laughs.
And oh, is it a melodious laughter, one full of hope.
They haven't sorted out the clearance levels for it yet, or even if I will be running it, but apparently this is now a top priority to figure out.
Gadzooks, you say, feeling the hope and taking a page right out of Catherine's book. This is incredible! Oh my, this is... I think I might just need a towel. I'm sweating so much all of a sudden.
If I can convince the military to bring you in, Catherine says, I want you heading this project.
Where are we setting up shop, you ask?
If I can swing things right, the same place where the spies appeared in the first place.
Catherine sounds amused.
I figure it's only appropriate after all.
The year is 1980. The day, March 5th. Your name is Jake Harley, and your darling wife has given birth. You and she have a daughter. You are now a father. Oh, great Caesar's ghost fighting with the spirit of John the Baptist. You're a father and she's a mother. You are somewhat still in awe that this even worked out. That this happened. You suppose, with how young you look for your age, might have had something to do with that, though. This is the happiest day of your life. Your darling Claire holds your daughter in arm, and she smiles, saying,
She should be named Joey.
Joey Harley. You couldn't agree more. It's as you're dealing with the last bits of paperwork for the hospital that an old friend comes to visit.
Hello, Jake.
It's Catherine, smiling.
I'd heard you become a father. I thought I'd come and visit.
And with a million-watt smile, you take Catherine to introduce her to your darling wife and daughter. A wonderful few hours pass before you and Catherine get a few minutes alone. So, pleasantries aside, you begin. I'm assuming you didn't come all the way from Colorado just to see my daughter.
Of course not, Catherine says. I finally gotten permission to run the program in the mountain. The stairway's being moved there as we speak.
It's been years now. What took so long?
Apparently the Air Force thought they could handle it on their own. Catherine admits with a shrug. But it seems they've given up now and are wisely turning to the only people who have actually any idea on what it is.
Did you mention the older experiments? You ask.
Not that you successfully activated it, Catherine says. I was never officially part of that, after all. Plausible deniability and all that.
The military does seem stuck in their ways. You say, remembering all the times they've gotten in your way?
Indeed, Catherine nods.
So, you say, are you offering me a job?
I am. Catherine nods again.
Damn it, Catherine, you say. If you'd asked me a year sooner... You shake your head. I can't. Not right now.
It's a standing invitation, Catherine says, smiling. I understand how things can change. Ernest and I'd hoped we could have had this one day. I'm glad you found what I couldn't.
I'll check in whenever I can, Catherine. You say.
I'll keep you in the loop, Jake. Catherine answers. Now go. Spend some time with your family.
And so Jake Harley did.
Catherine Langford would have no way of knowing that within a few short years, disaster would strike the growing family, and Jake would be coming to assist her in a new program to figure out out the stairway out of grief, rather than genuine interest in the project.